Yes, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the show. We still have two names for this show. We're not too sure what it's going to be called. It's either Scottish Wisdom Show or it's just, quite simply, the Jack Christie Show. Here's a tune. There we go. For we are no awa to bide awa. Yes, this is the New Year's Day. Did you think I was going to skip another day? No. This is... Yes, I probably won't do one tomorrow, let's be honest. You've had two. You had one yesterday, you had one today. Hello there. There he is. Hello there, Ryan. How are we getting on? Hope you're doing grand, young man. Hope you're doing grand. That tune was For We're No Awa to Bide Awa. Now, that is traditionally also done at Auld Lang Syne. If you were there last night, welcome back. If you're here for the first time, also just welcome. It's New Year's Day. Happy New Year, folks. Hope you've had a good day. Hope you're not too... what's the phrase? Hungover on this lovely day in Scotland. It's quite cold, quite windy. We had a little bit of snow in the east coast of Scotland today, but we have had a lovely day, and yeah, thought I would come on and continue the tradition since we're on a roll of New Year's resolutions. Today is a new day. Today is a new year, and yeah. Going to continue the story on from last night. So, we had the Auld Lang Syne last night, which is the most famous one. For we're no awa to bide awa, which quite literally means we are not away to stay away. Just like myself. Yes. So, I'm just actually going to show you up on the screen. Hopefully this works. Yes, there we go. It's actually a song. So, it would be, Oh, we're no awa to bide awa. But translation, oh, we are not away to stay away. We are not away to leave you. We are not away to stay away. We will always come back and see you. As I was walking down the street, I met little John Scobie. He said to me, would you like a half pint, which is a half drink? Or in Scotland, could ye go a half? I said, yes, man, that's my hobby. And we are no way to stay away. We are no way to leave you. We are not a way to stay away. We will always come back and see you. Here's to the young ladies. Bless their hearts, so beautiful and so gentle. Here's to the ones I love the day and the ones I have left behind me. I'm not a way to stay away. I'm not a way to leave you. I'm not a way to stay away. I will always come back and see you. And here's to you and here's to me. And wherever we may come together, we will raise a glass and drink a toast to Scotland. Now and forever, and we are not away to stay away. We are not away to leave you. We are not away to stay away, and we will come back to see you. That is the English translation of that. And it's a toast. It's a song saying that we're not going away. We will be back, and we will continue to celebrate, and we will continue to be confident and strong and positive. So there's role of the show today will be positive news. Okay? So, New Year's Day traditions. Now, continuing on from this book that I was showing last night, we have a number of, yes, Hogmanay traditions yesterday, but we have a lot of New Year's Day traditions here in Scotland as well. Let me open up this book. And, yeah. However, first, random joke. A Scot walks into a baker and asks, "Is that a black bun or a meringue?" The baker responds, "No, you're right. It's a black bun." That's quite tough to say when there's no crowd in the audience. Now, usually if I was a teacher or as a musician in front of an orchestra, I would be able to say that and I'll get some dreadful laughter. Now I just got utter silence in that one. That's quite funny. Ryan, hope you're having a grand day, man. Happy New Year. So, one of the first things of traditions in Scotland is known as first footing. Now, for those in the rest of the world that may not have seen this or are not of a Scottish heritage, I don't know if actually it is a tradition in other cultures, but certainly in Scotland, first footing is warm hospitality has always been traditional part of Hogmanay celebrations. For centuries, Scots have welcomed strangers into their homes in hope of encouraging good fortune in the year to come. One of the most well-known examples of this is first footing, the practice of visiting neighbours after the midnight bells, so as soon as New Year's Day has happened at 12 midnight. Traditionally, the first footer is the first person to cross your threshold of the front door after midnight, but they must not have been present in the house before midnight. They will usually bring a gift of shortbread or a black bun to fill your belly and a lump of coal, traditionally to warm your fire. The first footer will be welcomed with a dram of whiskey and kisses from all the women in the house. Tall, dark-haired men are thought to bring good luck. I'm okay with sounding like that? Yes. While women or light-haired men are considered unlucky. That is outstanding. I did not know that, actually. That's outrageous. So anybody that's blonde, anybody that's a woman, traditionally, you're not seen as lucky, but as a tall, dark-haired man, I'm outstanding. Wow, I did not know that. That is quite funny. Another one, which I didn't know, which has been granted of this book, and it comes from the area of Tayside. Now, maybe some people in the future may be able to comment on this. There is the dressed herring. First footing on Hogmanay has many associated traditions, but this most unusual one has to be the Dundonian custom, from Dundee, of gifting a dressed herring. For anybody not knowing what I'm meaning by herring, I'm meaning by a fish. Quite literally a herring in a dress. It isn't clear how or why the tradition started, but it was common practice across Dundee, Arbroath, Brecon for decades. That is mental. The fitted out herrings could be bought from fish stalls on the mid-kirk style. They were often dressed as brides or in kilts made of scraps of fabric or paper. The fancier the dress, the better. Until around the 1970s, first footers in Dundee would cross the threshold of their neighbours after midnight on Hogmanay with the fishy gift, which would then be hung in the kitchen for good luck. The tradition has largely died out, perhaps due to the contemporary hygiene preferences, but there are calls to revive it. I've never heard that, the calls to revive it, albeit with model fish instead of real ones. Isn't that nuts? I've never heard of that. That's mental. Open the door for the old year. It is the Pertin time. Open the door for the new year and let the bairn win hame. Bundle your winter joy and grief on the back of the year that's dune. Open your heart for the new life and let the bairn come in. That is from William Souter. Now, another thing that is a New Year's tradition. I haven't actually done this today, but a Scottish tradition is having a steak pie for your lunch or a steak pie dinner. Now, for those in the rest of the world, steak pie is where you have, as it says, it's a pie full of steak. You could have carrots, you could have a few other things. It's usually bits that are left around, so it's a quick and easy thing. You chuck it in the oven with bits of pastry on the top. Now, a usual short crust pastry steak pie is probably about that big. If you're in Australia or New Zealand, it's probably about that big. But a steak pie would usually be for a family sharer, so a 4-person one or a 6-person one. So it's much larger and would come in a tin foil case at the bottom. You would have it with your mashed potatoes or roast potatoes. So yeah, an easy dinner, even if you're feeling a wee bit peely-wally after the night before. So, but one I did do today, which is New Year's tradition, is the Looney Duke, or first year Duke. Go for a Duke in the cold water. Now, today I went to the Broughty Ferry one in Dundee, along with my parents, and Scots have been throwing themselves into the frigid waters of the Firth of Forth and other rivers and the North Sea on New Year's Day, along before the current enthusiasm for wild swimming caught on. A tradition started by 3 friends in South Queensferry in the 1980s and has grown to the point where thousands of people participate in the cultural phenomenon, dressed in everything from bikinis to mermaid tails and nuns' habits. The daft event inspired several other Looney Dukes across Scotland, including Kinghorn, Portobello in Edinburgh, the North Berwick and East Lothian. But I am sure the Broughty Ferry Looney Duke has been going on for years. Let's just double check that. Broughty Ferry Duke history. Yes. So the first one began officially organising New Year's Dip in 1891, marking it as a special New Year community celebration. The Duke has legendary history of never being cancelled due to weather. However, in 1989, ice had to be broken with pickaxes for swimmers. So the Broughty Ferry one has been a tradition for years. So this Edinburgh book, you're lost now. So I'm going to show you some of the photos that I got today. Let's see if I can get them up on the screen. There we go. And let's see if I can add that in. There we go. If I do that, yep. There we go. This is round at the harbour of Broughty Ferry. The queue, there's the castle, and there's all the Dukers all lined up. And there we go. And there's some of them going straight in. Some of them going straight out as well, which is quite funny. There were tons of people there. Crowds were all over the place trying to get in. And then what you need to do is you swim across from this side to the far side along the sort of wall, harbour wall, and get a ladder out. So there was 235 people there today, and plus any stragglers that came along. And yeah, it's been a lovely but cold and windy day in Dundee. There is the Tay Road Bridge. This is a view that we went up the Law Monument today. There is the Tay Bridge. You can quickly, or in the distance, see St Andrews way in the distance south, and there is the Tay Road Bridge. There we go. So, bring it back. So the Looney Duke has had great history, particularly in Dundee. And yeah, great event to see, and well done for all the swimmers that went in and took the dip. And it's part of like a big plunge of getting rid of the old and being washed afresh. Like a sort of baptism, secular baptism, but at the start of the new year. And I think it's a great thing to have, being honest. It's a lovely tradition. out with the old, in with the new, and start the new fresh. Quite literally washed afresh. Now, another tradition I've seen recently has been part of this book is there's, on the West Coast, the New Year's Shinty. Shinty is Scotland's answer to hockey, if you didn't know, and it's quite similar to the Irish hurling. Today is a 12-side game played with curved sticks and tall goalposts, and it has been played in some form on New Year's Day since at least the early 1800s. In the past, these New Year's Day matches were played all over Scotland. On any flat ground that could be found between townships on Shetland, the beaches on Lewis, and even in Glasgow's Queen's Park. And there is even one sometimes on Boxing Day on the Wimbledon Common between the London CamMackay Shinty Club. That's a lovely little tradition there I did not know. So yeah, lots of different traditions for New Year's Day. One of the most new ones will be the Traitors of modern watching. BBC Traitors starts tonight, so I'll be watching that after dinner. But as I said, there's a lot of traditions. It's like wash afresh, feeling of renewal, and bringing it back to my Bob Proctor course, and also faith in general. You've got to have an attitude of gratitude. Steve Harvey, the American chat show host, attitude is gratitude. I love that, and that is something that stuck with me, and so that's the quote for today. Gratitude for the new year, gratitude for a new beginning. This year, or this past year I should say, I've been starting, or have done, a gratitude journal. Every night before I go to sleep, or I would say 99.95% of the nights I have had this past year, I've started writing things that I've been grateful for, and it's always been a minimum of 3 things. But at the start of the year, I could only write 1 or 2, but as the year has went by, I've realised that I can quickly write off more. And weirdly, this practice has created me to actually feel more positive about lots of other things throughout my day. Even into the simple pleasures of warm coffee in the morning, using coffee beans. The hot shower that I had this morning. The fresh air, or the nice tap water. And further then it's into relationships with my family, relationships with friends. A lovely game of football, a lovely piece of music I listened to, some kind gesture by a colleague at work. All these stuff that I've remembered throughout the day, I would write that down in my journal, just in a notebook, and as the year has went on, I've realised that the quicker I can do it. That's given me a slightly different perspective on daily life. Because I know this is a ritual, this is a routine, this is a practice that I'm doing at the end of the night. So in a weird way, I'm subconsciously looking for things to put in my journal at the end of the night. Scotland usually has quite a negative mindset. Cold winters, dark nights. Usually on the news, there's the endless cycle of negativity. And there is terrible things happening in this world. But a new year is for a new change, a positive change, trying to get rid and out of that negative cycle. And that has been a part of my journey in 2025. So a gratitude for the existence that we live in a great country is a foundation for where I start on day 1 of 2026. We have great traditions. We've had a lovely day today in terms of weather. And even simple things. You can walk. My health is phenomenal. I'm in the best shape of my life. I need to be grateful for that rather than an expectation of that is just the norm. I need to be grateful for that every day. Even a simple thing such as a hot shower, which I mentioned a minute ago. 50, 60 years ago, the king of this country probably didn't have a hot shower in terms of the luxury that we have these days. Central heating. We live in a very developed world. And actually, yes, there's chaos. Yes, things can be improved. But from a standpoint of we're actually in a really good place. And only from gratitude or giving yourself grace can growth come from, is what I'm realizing. Rather than this place of frustration. And that brings me on to amazing grace. Give yourself amazing grace. Now, Amazing Grace is a song that is more particularly known with not England, America. However, I did a little bit of digging and I was thinking of what is a lovely song to finish this show, this stream. Well, Amazing Grace. It was originally a sermon on New Year's Day in the Anglican church by a priest, by a minister known as John Newton, who was a former enslaver from the transatlantic slave trade. And he described the joy of receiving God's grace even when feeling lost or having done terrible things in his past. Amazing Grace is about redemption. God forgives the horrible acts people commit and gives them hope. The opening words to the song Amazing Grace reflect this idea. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretched like me. Once I was lost, but now I am found. Was blind, but now I see. What's it about? It's about somebody accepting God's grace. Now, that's from a spiritual or religious context or a faith-based context, but you could even put it into a more sort of modern day example of that, of gratitude. Receive grace from the universe or whatever you want to call it in your language. But once you've got that grace, you can then have gratitude for existence. So, message of optimism, positivity. This new year, 2026, we're going to start in grace. We're going to start in gratitude. And as a suggestion, I would love you to start a little gratitude journal because you have no idea where that will take you moving forward. Give me a second. I'm going to play Amazing Grace. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for watching. And we'll continue to see you in the future. Thank you very much, folks. Happy New Year. We'll see you some point in the future. Thanks for watching.